Damba Jomden de Java Dajamba Yandamba Zobe Zanje Reba Dan Shamsu Demba Devara Jeva Jigden Jemba Jevo Duye Kalo Yorba Lana Meva Lada Menam Je Demba Sanje Jomden de Pejava Shaja Tuba La Chazelo Chudu Jazo Che Wo Dumba Jomden de Shenshaba Dan Jomba Yang Damba Zobe Zanje Riba Dan Shamsu Demba Devara Sheva Jigden Jemba Jebo Deve Galo Yorwa Lana Meva Lada Menam Je Dumba Sanje Jomden de Bejawa Jaja Dumba La Jaze Lo Jado Jazu Cheo Dumba Jomden de Dejen Sheva Cha Jomba Yandamba Zobe Sanje Rigba Da Jazu Demba Devara Sheva Jigden Kimba Jevo Deve Kalo Yorwa Lana Meva Lada Menam Je Dumba Sanje Jomden de Pejawa Shaja Tuba La Jazel Chudu Jazo Je Ho Sanje Chudan Soji Chonama La Chanju Pado Dani Jazo Je Tagi Chushe Jibe Chonama Je Dola Penje Sanje Drupara Sho Sanje Chodan Soji Chonamala Chanju Bado Dani Jazo Che Dagi Chushi Jebe Sonamanje Drola Benje Sanje Drupara Sho Sanje Chodan Soji Chonamala Chanju Bado Dani Jaso Che Dagi Chushi Jebe Sonamanje Drola Benje Sanje Drupara Shos. Good morning to everybody who is tuning in. And I'm not sure whether everybody was aware of the time change. So maybe some were not. Anyway, welcome back. So I wanted to start with going through some of the benefits. Of course, we have covered this in the first chapter, but just to refresh our memories, because this whole chapter is about developing Bodhicitta. So it is good to reflect on the benefits of Bodhicitta. What is this big deal about developing this particular mindset? As you have noticed that every text in Buddhist scripture begins with the extolling of the benefits of the particular topic. It is because that when we see the benefits, when we understand the merit of that particular mindset or any topic, then first it engenders interest which will later inspires us into putting effort to develop that kind of mindset. So likewise, Bodhicitta, we have been talking about these past weeks about Bodhicitta. So it is once in a while, it is good to reflect and then kind of reinforce our interests and our commitment. So first of all, why do we need to develop such a mindset? There are so many benefits that Shantideva stated in the first chapter. But he begins by first stating our condition, our state, our own state. So Shantideva says that virtue is perpetually ever so feeble, while the power of vice great and extremely dreadful. So this is talking about our condition, our inclination, the state of mind. When it comes to doing virtue, we are so feeble, so weak. It is so hard even to generate some virtuous mind, some positive mindset. And even when we put effort, the quality of the virtue is not there. In contrast, when it comes to negativities or the non-virtuous mindset, non-virtuous mindset, unwholesome, we are perfect in every aspect. First of all, it doesn't require effort at all. It spontaneously arises within us. We just have to encounter a situation, and then all this anger, jealousy, greed automatically arises effortlessly. And not only it arises within us effortlessly, it is perfect in every aspect. From the beginning to the end, it's perfect. Normally, as you are aware, that in order to any karma to be completed, in order to perfect karma, whether it be negative or positive, we need at least three things to come together. First, the intention. Second, the actual action. And then finally, that satisfaction, the sense of completion. So when it comes to virtuous actions, hardly or rarely we are unable to engage in a virtue that has all these three elements. Let's say we sit down to do a meditation. Let's say we sit down to do a series of prayers, prayer recitations. Most of us, we forget to really generate a good motivation. And then while we are in the actual practice or actual recitation, while our speech is involved or engaged in any particular recitation, but our mind is way away from what we are reciting. Our mind is wandering and even thinking all kinds of negative thoughts. Then finally, there is no dedication. There is no, dedicating that merit. Whereas when it comes to negative actions, we are perfect. We are so good at it. First of all, there's this strong intention. Let's say killing a mosquito, killing a cockroach. There's this strong intention that I'm going to eliminate this mosquito which has been disturbing my sleep. Yeah, it doesn't happen here, but in India it's very common. You sleep during the night time and then there will be a mosquito buzzing around and disturbs your sound sleep. So the first intention is to really, I must eliminate that little thing. And then you engage in any kind of action, either slapping or doing something else. And once you accomplish that, you have this sense of accomplishment. I did it, I killed it, I terminated it. So this one, perfect karma in terms of all the three elements. So that's what Shantideva is saying. For us, virtue is perpetually ever so feeble. It is very hard to arise. And we can understand from our own experience. In 24 hours, if we are to keep track of our mind, how many hours of our day we commit or devote to virtuous actions? First of all, half of our time is wasted on trivial, unimportant things. And then whatever is left out of that number of hours, how many hours do we engage in Dharma practices? For many people, even the thought of doing good or virtue or practicing some Dharma do not occur, let alone engaging in Dharma practice. So that's why those who wish to experience a multitude of joys, and those who, so it says, virtue is perpetually ever so feeble, while the power of vice great and extremely dreadful. If there were no spirit or perfect awakening, what other virtue would overcome it? So if there were no such thing as Bodhicitta, then it says that there is no other virtue that can overcome our situation. And the reason being here, those who wish to destroy the many sorrows of their conditioned existence, that's us. Everybody wants to destroy even the slightest unpleasantness, even the slightest, tiniest pain and suffering. And we who claim to be Mahayana practitioners, we not only seek for our happiness, we wish to remove or eliminate pains of other sentient beings. and also to facilitate or to offer the experience of multitude of joys. So if that is the case, Shantideva said we should never forsake the affecting mind, which means we should cultivate this mindset, because this mindset is like a supreme gold-making elixir. Because first of all, Shantideva says that past Buddhas, the countless Buddhas who have achieved enlightenment, they have contemplated. Even Shakyamuni Buddha, he tried different methods, different way or different practices to achieve enlightenment. Eventually, he even did this, what you call that hardship, went through that hardship. 6 years. So Buddha has tried everything. And what Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, as well as all the past Buddhas, have found or seen that the only blessing by which joy is easily increased and immeasurable multitude of beings can be rescued is cultivating or developing Bodhicitta. Oh, yeah, Ajahn Sunamardi just messaged. Is today Tibetan class? Or am I mixed now? I think it's most likely is Tibetan class, isn't it? Let me double check. Today is March 9. Oh, I made a mistake. I see, no wonder. No wonder our Ken is not has not tuned in. Okay, so so I have to replace the Tibetan class with English in the coming Sunday. Anyway, let's just continue since we have already started. So basically, Shantideva is saying that all Buddhas have contemplated on what is the best means to achieve enlightenment, best method to best method of easily kind of increased a multitude of joy and happiness. And they found out that Bodhicitta is the way is the only means to really achieve the highest state of joy and happiness for yourself and to help others. I have repeated this in many classes. Shakyamuni Buddha, we go refuge. We take refuge in Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha. We revere all these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. But one time, they were like us. They were like us, feeble when it comes to virtue, and was prone to all the non-virtuous thoughts and actions. But because they found the perfect means, which is cultivating and developing Bodhicitta mind, they are now in our objects of refuge, objects of reverence. Whereas we are still circling in this existence under the influence, under the control of karma and delusion. The only difference is that Buddha saw that bodhicitta is the means to escape all this pain and suffering, whereas we did not. As a result, we are down here, whereas Buddha is somewhere up there. So to summarize the benefits, Shantideva said, it is like the supreme gold-making elixir, for it transforms the unclean body we have taken into the priceless jewel of a Buddha form. Therefore, firmly seize this awakening mind. If there exists such a paint elixir that can convert all the ordinary metal into a gold, that would be so wonderful. That can eliminate poverty, starvation, and everything. It can solve so many of human problems, human sufferings. That would be wonderful. And you don't require much effort. Just paint it over on the metal things, and instantly it becomes a gold. Something which is invaluable, something which has no value, which is something which is very ordinary. Because of this power of this elixir, that ordinary metal can instantly become invaluable, priceless. So likewise, at the moment, our existence is really ordinary. We can even say very unclean, contaminated. But as soon as we are able to develop, as soon as we are able to generate bodhicitta within us, we become, or we transform into a priceless person, priceless being. It says, into the priceless jewel of a Buddha form. Therefore, remember in another stanza says that you become the son of Buddha, sons and sons of Buddha. And one reason why having developed bodhicitta can easily lead us to Buddhahood is that what we are being, the reason why we are not getting there is there are obstacles, there are hindrances. So in our case, the barricade or the block that is blocking us on our journey up there is all that negative karmas that we have created in the past. So we need to exhaust all that. And the most powerful means to exhaust, to purify all that negativity is through generating the mind of bodhicitta. Remember, Shantideva likened bodhicitta to a fire, those really, what is that word? We say that when time comes, there will be a very strong fire that can burn everything. This is more like a what you call modern day term, doomsday. So that fire is supposed to be very strong. And it said that it can instantly bring even the Mount Meru into ashes in seconds. So bodhicitta is likened to that. Once you have the bodhicitta, through bodhicitta, one will be able to purify, exhaust all the negativities. That one, logically we can understand. Of course, it is hard to explain logically like that kind of power. But from the other way, that if you have a real bodhicitta mind, you will be driven to get there. And you know that in order to get there, you need to purify. So all the time, constantly, you are trying, looking for means, ways, or engaging in all kinds of practices to exhaust the negativities that is thwarting us from getting there. So in that logic, we can see that bodhicitta has that power. And then also it says that from the time that one adopts that spirit with an irreversible attitude for the sake of limitless sentient beings, from that moment on, an uninterrupted stream of merit, equal to the sky, constantly arises, even when one is asleep or distracted. How wonderful that would be, especially if you like to sleep a lot. You can go to sleep with that kind of mindset, and then that whatever duration or period of time that you have fallen asleep, you are still generating merit. You don't have to be conscious all the time. Even when you are distracted, as long as you have generated that mind, it doesn't stop cultivating merit. So that is why Shantideva is making a big deal about developing this mindset. Because this can fulfill everything. So in that sense, we can say that this is even more precious than the wish-fulfilling gem. Wish-fulfilling gem can fulfill so many things of our wishes, but it all relates to this life's goals. Whereas Bodhicitta, in terms of fulfilling our wishes, is not restricted or limited to this life's goal. It can ensure good rebirth. It can ensure liberation from samsara. It ascertains full awakening mind to become Buddha. So what more do we need? So that's why it is important to develop. So as we mentioned before, the most common means or methods to develop, there are two methods. One, the lineage of Asangas, that came from Asanga, and the other one is the Shantideva. So Shantideva's method, in order to generate bodhicitta, first we need to equalize ourselves. At the moment, we have this attitude, this discriminatory attitude. We have this view, this notion that I and others, there's a big distinction, big difference. Therefore, I shouldn't work for others. I should work for eliminating, relieving my own pain and suffering, but I should not be concerned about others' pain and suffering. So in order to address all these misconceptions or doubts or even just a concern, so Shantideva addresses all these concerns and doubts. So remember, in the last few stanzas, the argument is that why should I be bothered about relieving others' sufferings? After all, I and others are two different things. We are distinctively different. Remember, in the earlier stanza, it says, if one thinks that the suffering that belongs to someone is to be warded off by that person himself, then why does the hand protect the foot when the pain of the foot does not belong to the hand? So Shantideva refutes that notion that one should relieve one's own suffering and shouldn't be concerned or bothered about eliminating others' suffering, because I and others are different. Then Shantideva argues that then in that case, the pain of food does not. Then why does the hand protect the food? So we have discussed that argument. So now, then the argument. This argument continues. So this. Let me first read the. So this is the continuation to the earlier argument. Gyundang tsokshi chawani tenwa mala so shin zun dunyen chen kang te meba tedi sushi wangwar gyurus dunyen tabu meba ni tamche cheda meba nis. Such things as a continuum in aggregation. So the argument now is that, if you analyze, if you scrutinize one by one, whether this is I, this is then of course, you say you won't be able to pinpoint to one particular things as I or others. But that is not the case. It says such things as a continuum in aggregation are false. And so they're saying that, yes, if you try to pinpoint, if you analyze closely, then you may not find I or others. But we are not talking about it. We are talking about conventionally. There's something called continuum. Even though the first, even in times when you split all that into series of time, so one by one is not the actual time, but we call time because of that continuum, that series, like month, like week. If you try to pinpoint, okay, 1 month, which is the one? Is it the first day 1 month? Is it the second day 1 month? Or is it the last day 1 month? So you won't be able to pinpoint. So they were saying that you cannot argue in that sense. So what we are saying is the continuum. Remember, it says that if our argument, if our stand or view is that because it is not that person, because others are not me, based on that premise, if we are going to ignore others' suffering, we are not going to help other person, then why are we bothered to do practice so that in the future we can become Buddha, or even we practice Dharma so that we will not be born in lower realms? We practice all these various practices in order to ensure good rebirth and eventually to achieve enlightenment. So Shantideva says that if that is your reason, then all this, why are we doing this? Because the one person who is doing now is not one who is achieving or experiencing that result. So all this effort is wasted, because one who is going to enjoy the result is not the one who is planting all that seed. So then he says, we are not talking about that, even though, we still, even though the person who is cultivating the causes and conditions right now is not the person or the same person who is going to experience the results in the future, but we still do it because there's something called continuum. That continuum goes on, and that person experience, that aggregation, that person experiences. So to refute that, Shantideva says, such things as a continuum and aggregation are false in the same way as a rosary and an army. So basically saying that that aggregation, that continuum is not that person. So we are analyzing, here Shantideva is analyzing what you call the, from the ultimate point of view. Ultimately, there is no such person. There is no independent or inherent person who experiences all that suffering and one who enjoys all the joy and happiness. It is not limited to others. Both I and others, both self and others. When we analyze, there is no ultimate self and others. It is just an imputation. This is just a label given to parts coming together. So the analogy is, there is no real owner of suffering. Therefore, who has control over it? Since there is no inherent, there is no independent I or others who experiences, who undergoes suffering. Being no inherent owner of suffering, there can be no distinction at all between that of myself and others. So that's the conclusion. So like mala are false. So we have this notion that there is something independent, there is something inherent. When we see that rosary, that mala, to us there is independently existing mala there. But if there is such independently existing mala, then we ought to be able to pinpoint when it's which is mala. So each and every beat, one can eliminate that that's not mala. And even the strings, even that, that knot, by itself is not mala. But because all this kind of strung together, first of all you need certain number of beads, and then it needs to be strung together, and it needs to have particular shape. All this coming together, then the mind imputes or gives that label. So the main point here is that there is no inherently established self or others in terms of not in terms of established self or others that is the owner or that undergoes or that experience happiness or suffering. So all these distinctions exist only in a relative dependence on one another. So that's the main point. So I think this, of course, it is deep, but that is the real cause of all this discrimination. Because of this ignorance, we fail to understand or see the reality of self and others, how self or I exist, how everything exists. Because we have this wrong view of how I exist, we develop self-cherishing, we develop self-grasping. And because we have self-grasping and self-cherishing, we develop what is called grasping of mind. So our belongings, our loved ones. And then because of all these various what you call the notions or graspings, then we develop attachment to those who are kind and good to us, who are nice to us, who are pleasant to us. And we give them the label that my loved ones, my friends, my family. So these are to be protected. These are to be loved. And then anybody who threatens this group of people, including yourself, anybody who causes harm, who inflicts harm, even the indication of causing harm, we label them as foes or enemies. And those to be destroyed, those to be averted from. So we create all these distinctions, these discriminations, these labels, all because of this self-grasping. Because of self-grasping, self-cherishing arises. Because of self-cherishing, and all these follows. So that's why in the commentary it says that if one is able, when it comes to this, the actual practice is that on the one hand, we try to meditate or try to contemplate on the, what do you call that? Contemplate on, let me rephrase. So there are two ways to go about this. So conventionally, there is self, there is others. So conventionally, there is this distinction, but we try to contemplate on the reasons why we are equal. We need to get familiarized, accustomed to the thought, to the mind, that even though conventionally there is a distinction between other and self, there is other and self, but in terms of wanting happiness, in terms of not wanting suffering, we are equal, we are same. That's why we call common humanity. But ultimately, in terms of ultimate reality, there is no self. There is no absolute others. These all exist in relation to parts and parts coming together. Dependence on parts, and then that imputation. So the conclusion here is that since there is no independent or ultimate self and others, since we cannot draw any distinctions from the point of view of absolutism, or I don't know how to say it. So there's no reason when it comes to offering protection. We should equally protect others the way we protect ourselves. So this is more like a summary. Dunye yinchir dese cha nyebe terni chishik cha chichir kunji dunye ni dobra chashi tsedome kade donang tamje do timin tajan simjin shins. Thus I shall dispel it because it hurts. So the reason boils down to something which is undesirable, something which causes harm, something which is hurtful. Thus I shall dispel it because it hurts. Why am I so certain that I shouldn't eliminate the suffering of others? But since neither the suffering nor the sufferer truly exists, why should I turn away from the misery of all? There is no ground for argument, for if I prevent my own suffering, surely I should prevent the suffering of all. So one cannot argue that we should not one should not eliminate the suffering of others. So if one stands with that view, Shantideva was saying that, then one should also not eliminate one's own suffering, because these are all similar in the fact that something to be eliminated. So now comes another argument. But since this compassion will bring me much misery, nyingji tunye mangyurwa chichir nengi keche naas, tuwe tunye samche na chidar nyingji tunye mangs. So there is this, I think many people believe that, why should we engage in compassion? Because compassion gives rise to suffering. So we have been talking earlier all about eliminating suffering. So if that is our goal, then the argument is that why should we engage in compassion? Because that very state of mind gives rise to suffering. Because when we engage in compassion, which is preceded by empathy. So of course there is some unpleasantness, there's some discomfort. So Shantideva says that, but since this compassion brings me much misery, why should I exert myself to develop it? Should I contemplate the suffering of living creatures? How could the misery of compassion be more? So basically saying that when I reflect on the various forms of sufferings of sentient beings, particularly the pains and sufferings related to the lower realms, basically saying that there won't be any more, it will not result in experiencing more pain and suffering. In contrast, when you reflect on the sufferings of other sentient beings, one will be able to develop more powerful compassion. Or compassion, the compassion is to this strong wish to end or eliminate the sufferings of others. So when you do more reflection, first of all, one will be able to get better insight in the suffering natures of cyclic existence. Thereby one is able to push towards renunciation. Renunciation is something that arises after one realizes the suffering nature of our existence. Because when we see our existence as suffering, is one that is full of suffering, one automatically desire or wants to be out of that or to escape from that cyclic existence. And thereby it will push us towards engaging in practices that can help us escape or liberate from samsara. And once we when we shift our focus on other sentient beings, then that will generate, or that will engender or enable us to generate compassion. And that will propel us to do more, because we will realize that even though this wish, strong wish, the wish to eliminate the sufferings of others may be very strong, but we are kind of handicapped. There's nothing much we can do except wishing them to be free from suffering. And realizing this fact, we may push ourselves to achieve the ability, the capability to benefit, to really do something to liberate the sentient beings, to bring the sentient beings to the state of joy and happiness. Kati tunyi chikini tunyi mambu me gyurna tsedan tembe tunyi de randa shenla kejanyi. If by one person's suffering the suffering of many would be destroyed, surely kind-hearted people would accept it for the sake of themselves and others. Moreover, even one experience a little bit of suffering or some discomfort when one engages in compassion, so it is worth enduring that suffering, because in long run it will benefit countless sentient beings. As you see in the picture, we, especially during pandemic, we fought to get the vaccination. Remember one time it was so hard. There was limited vaccination, and you try everything to ensure that you get vaccinated. And after vaccination, some people experience some discomfort. The least, almost everybody experience some ache and pain on whichever arm they have received the injection. But we still went through, and we are waiting for the next one. And some people have taken, 4 or 5 vaccinations. Why? Why would we do that? You know that it's painful, but we still did it because for the long-term goal. So that's what Shantideva is saying. That yes, some people may experience some discomfort in generating compassion for others, but that can propel the person to develop capabilities that can help eliminate sufferings of countless beings. So it is worthwhile. Thus, tena meto dazeki kebyonoba shekyangni taagi tunye maselte mambyo tunye se gyurshirirs. Thus the Bodhisattva Supusha Chandra, although aware of the harm the kind would cause him, accepted his own suffering in order to eradicate the miseries of many. So this is to illustrate that Bodhisattvas will sacrifice one's own comfort in order to benefit others. So this is a story which is listed in the sutra called the King of Concentration Sutra. So there is this story. So this is about Bodhisattva Supusha Chandra. So this was during one of the past Buddha's era, where there's this particular king called Kyabu Pavejin. I don't know what it's called in Sanskrit. So this king, he has no faith in Dharma. So he has actually driven or expelled like 7,000 Sangha members from his kingdom, and they all kind of banished from the kingdom to the forest. And Bodhisattva Supusha Chandra, in Tibetan, is called Medo Dadze. So Bodhisattva, among with 7,000 Sangha members, so they dwelled in forests, and Bodhisattva taught Dharma. Give Dharma teachings there. But through his clairvoyance, through the power of his realizations, he saw that there are thousands of people in the kingdom who has this potential that ready to sprout if they received some rain of Dharma. So he saw the potential, the seed in them that needs to be watered. On the other hand, he also saw that if he go and teach there, he will be punished severely. He might even lose his own life. But he realized that the time is such that if they don't receive any Dharma teaching at this time, that seed will be gone forever. At that stage, if they are able to receive some Dharma, many of them will achieve or obtain certain degree of different levels of realizations. So because after weighing these pros and cons, these benefits, danger and benefits, Bodhisattva Shubucha Chandra decided to go and teach those people. And he went to the kingdom and he started teaching. He was there for 6 days. Every day he taught. Nighttime he paid homage to the Buddha's, the stupas that contain Buddha's relics. And the story goes like this. So on the 7th day, the king happened to stroll in the city, and he was, of course, accompanied by hundreds of entourage. As soon as the entourage saw the Bodhisattva teaching there, they all bowed and went to listen. That really made the king furious. And when he suggested to, when he gave order to stop that teaching, and his sons, who also develops kind of reverence to the Bodhisattva, kind of prevented or blocked the father from doing that. And that even made him more furious. So he called what is called the slaughter guy and ordered him to terminate that Bodhisattva. And of course, given the king's order, the slaughter guy, he cut Bodhisattva's body into pieces. But as soon as he started cutting the bodies into pieces, instead of blood, milk, the story goes like that, milk oozes out, and then lights emitted from where the cut is made. And everybody developed more, generated more reverence. And later, the story goes later, when the king, the next day or a week later, when king went to the site, and he saw that the pieces are still intact and still radiating, and then he developed kind of a remorse and regretted, and eventually he built a stupa on that site. So that's the story behind this. So the point is that Bodhisattvas will do anything. Remember in Lama Chuba, when it comes to perseverance, Bodhisattva's perseverance is such that even one has to remain in hell for eons just to help one sentient beings. Bodhisattvas would do that. So at the moment, to us it seems like a fairy tales. It appears as like unbelievable. But when one develops that kind of mindset, then it becomes so easy. And I think we know of people, that some people, they find so much joy in helping others. They will leave everything of their own things and they will just rush to help others. And they find so much joy. So this is all matter of what we call, what's that? Mind over matter thing. Once we are accustomed to that, when we see the benefit, it becomes an easy thing. It is no longer impossible. Even now, I mean, for myself, when I see aeroplanes flying, it is like unbelievable. How can such a heavy object be able to float in the middle of the sky? It's like unfathomable. But that's true. It's happening. We have all traveled. We have all flown. And those big aeroplanes, they are like a double-decker. So heavy, yet it can float. So if this can happen, if these are possible, and like iPhone, you can see the person and talk to the person who is thousands of miles away, as if the person is sitting next to you. So 100 years ago, these are like impossible things. But we have achieved that. So likewise, when it comes to all these realizations, when we have not achieved it, it looks impossible. But then when you make yourself familiar with it, then there will come a time where you feel that, oh, that is possible. Remember His Holiness every now and then talks about his realization. And His Holiness made it clear that I'm not saying this just to gain fame for myself. I'm mentioning this to you so that you know that such is possible. His Holiness, recently I listened to one of the His Holiness clips, and His Holiness, in that clip, His Holiness said that he has this strong faith in emptiness. But when he first encountered Bodhicitta, His Holiness felt that that is kind of impossible. It's very difficult to do that. But after years and years of practicing, His Holiness says it's possible. So these are coming from one's own experience. So if we put effort, not, if we take time, we may not be able to really fully develop in a year's time or something, but at least we may be able to develop this conviction that, oh, if I put more effort, it seems possible. So that itself is an attainment, is a realization, is in progress. So what Shantideva is going through, all these are to help us, to give us the tools. Sometimes what happens, we hear about these things and then we start doing, and then we realize it's not easy. And then all kinds of, thoughts arises. So Shantideva puts all this in an argument form. Basically, is the things that ordinary people go through. Oh, how come I cannot do that? And first of all, why should I do that? Others are others. Why should I worry about other people's welfare? Other people's. Why should I be concerned with other people's pain and suffering? All this. Sometimes, it happens. So in such time, we have to go back to Shantideva's these stanzas, and then spend some time contemplating. And then, there will come a time where we feel that, actually my happiness depends on the other person's happiness. If other person is happy, I will automatically become happy. Oh, it's already 11. Okay, I think time is already 11:17. Okay, let's end here today. So next week, those who have tuned in, so next week is going to be Tibetan class. So I have to send out a new class schedule, otherwise people will just get confused. Okay, let's say the dedication. Tagi jinye zabe jawa de tenda androwa kunla kambenda jebara jizun losan tabai tembe nyingbo rendo zeje jo tagi jinye jichu jambe bawe jedara kemba da kundu zambo tenyan tejendo teda kunge jesu taloji Jawan de da damje rabdo ngo de son shekbe jawa damje je ngowa kanla chodo ngaba de dage gewe zawan de gwenja zambo jeje rabdo ngowa rangi. Okay, thank you.